feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome to the Skraby Show. Closing out the week here on 97.3 The Fan. I'm Matt Skraby. Thank you for joining me. If you would like to watch the show, you can on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search 973 The Fan. You will see the live video playing. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube page for 97.3 The Fan as well, because you will get notifications. You will see all of the different things that we put up throughout the baseball season. And you could also watch on Twitch. You could watch on X. You could watch on Facebook as well. So it's been a long week, kind of a long week. Like, it's been one of those weeks where I felt like every time I thought about it, the week wasn't moving fast enough, but then I didn't think about it and realized it was already Friday, if that makes any sense. It was kind of a jam-packed week for me personally. So I was lucky to be able to, I don't want to be too cheesy with this whole thing, but I was lucky enough to be able to eat healthy this week. And I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to do an ad or something like that, but I am very, very happy right now because I am done with the SD fat loss diet and I've lost over 35 pounds. I'm closing in on 40, and it makes me feel so much better about myself. I don't like what I looked like before. I put some posts up on X and Instagram at Matt Skraby, MATTSKRAB as in boy Y. And I showed the before pictures that they make you take before you start the diet. And it's really made me uncomfortable to look at those pictures of myself from earlier last year. It made me feel like I was disgusting, but it also motivated me into not eating like I used to. I wasn't a terrible eater because I've always watched my weight, but I've never really knew how to eat correctly. And so I was trying to diet, but just wasn't very good at it. And I had always wanted to know, like, what should I be eating? How much should I be eating? And SD fat loss honestly did help me with all of that. So if you would like to see the transformation, you can on my social media at Matt Skraby. And it's one of the most accomplishing things I've done here in the last couple of years because I did it during the hardest time to do it. I did it during Christmas and New Year's, which is where all the good food is. So it was tough. But I learned better eating habits, and I'll even show the camera right here. You can hear it. I have my broccoli and chicken in a bowl right now. That's what I'm eating for dinner. So I recommend everyone not only check out the post that I have and see the transformation, but also check out the weight loss program if you think that's something that you want to do, because I wasn't sure going into it. Chris really made it seem a lot more difficult than it ended up being. Chris was like looking through countdowns of the best burgers in the world and the best hot dogs in the country, stuff like that. And it wasn't that hard for me. It really wasn't that hard. I was able to just get on the program and go. So anyway, 35 pounds lighter. And I just wanted to talk about the post real quick, just to say how uncomfortable I felt posting that. I am not someone who likes to post bad pictures of themselves. And to me, that is a bad picture of myself. But on the other hand, I'm not like that anymore. So Dan on the chat says, just got my carne asada off the grill 5 minutes ago. Yes, I would love some carne asada, but I'm not going to have it tonight. Someone posted I was addicted to Coca-Cola. I changed that to carbonated waters and dropped 20 pounds instantly. That is, I can 100% see that. You know, one of the things that I did to lose weight, I lost 60 pounds right after I stopped drinking. And it's because it was all of the calories I was intaking from the alcohol that I was drinking. So if you're new to the show or you haven't heard, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've got over 7 years now, 7 years, 6 years, 7 years. It's kind of bad that I don't know that, but it's been over 7 years, and I immediately lost a bunch of weight because of all of the barley and all of that stuff. So anyway, all right. Yes, Lolita sounds good right now. Waldorf salad, I get it. When I was over the holiday break, my brother-in-law kept trying to get me to eat bad food, and I didn't appreciate that. Did not appreciate that one bit. All right, well, thanks for letting me get that off my chest. And now, with not much to talk about today, so if you want to join us, 833-288-0973. But with all that said, it is time to update you all on... I'm trying to get to the thing. Has someone deleted my page? I don't even know. This is definitely a Friday. I'm sorry for everyone who's listening out there. It's time for this.
It's time to get caught up on the latest with the news of the day.
All right. First news story of the day is going to be an article that Kylie McDaniel wrote for ESPN earlier, and it ranked all the different farm systems in baseball right now. And he ranked the San Diego Padres number 4 overall farm system in baseball, which was kind of surprising for me. But they have 6 prospects in the top 100, and they landed some more prospects, obviously, with the Juan Soto trade. But I have to say that this seems like a really good sign if I'm a Padres fan. Just because it's like, I was told maybe last year, the year before, that the Padres farm system wasn't very good. And so all of a sudden they're restocked, they're retooled, they're refueled, and they're the number 4 team in baseball right now with their prospects. And so that does definitely bode well for the future. 2 reasons. Number 1, obviously you will have guys that can come up and play. But number 2, you can have some prospects to trade. And it's always nice to have I hate talking about it like, because I know they're human beings, but it's always nice to have pieces that you can move around and kind of fit your team and make your team fit to what you want it to be. And so who knows? Maybe we see some of these prospects go before the trade deadline. Maybe we don't. But it's a good thing to know that AJ Preller has this team with a number 4 ranked farm system in baseball right now. And with some of the guys like Jackson Merrill, Snelling, Lesko, those guys, I know the morning show talked about it with Corbin Burns and trading them away. And I think Woods was right. Woods said it didn't make sense because the Padres aren't just a pitcher away from a World Series. And so I thought that was a very astute observation from Mr. Stephen Woods there in the morning show. Because it's true. Padres are not just a pitcher away from a World Series right now. They still got some outfield to fill. So it didn't really make any sense for the Padres to trade for Corbin Burns for a year of rental, because he's going to get a free agent contract after this coming year, and it's going to be big. And it's not going to be in a price range I think the Padres are willing to pay for Corbin Burns. So I'm happy that the Padres did not move on this trade. I'm happy that the Padres are still intact with their farm system. But I did see some out there that were a little upset that the Padres didn't at least maybe offer. We don't know that. But it doesn't make any sense. So if AJ Preller and co. didn't even go in on the sweepstakes, then I think that it's okay, because Corbin Burns would have likely not been with the Padres next year anyway, or past this year. And the team does not need to be built that way right now. Maybe in a year or two when they're closer to the World Series, but they got to fill out this roster first. So that is the top story number 1 today. Now, we talked about former WWE CEO and board chairman Vince McMahon and the civil suit that was brought against him. And the update on that is that Vince McMahon did step down from everything. But according to the Wall Street Journal, the federal prosecutors are now investigating Vince McMahon. And the federal investigation report states that it involves allegations of sexual abuse and trafficking. Now, there are a lot of horrible things, as we said about this story many times before. But there are a lot of horrible things in this. If you want to read it, you can. But if any of this is true, I would like to see Vince McMahon go to prison for this. And again, this is all allegedly, this is all in a lawsuit. This is not proven that Vince McMahon took part in this. But just what I read, he should be in prison if it's shown that he is involved in this, like it says he's involved in this, because that is some evil stuff that was going on with Vince McMahon and the WWE. If everything is true about this report, it's disgusting. And Vince McMahon's not known as, he hasn't been known as like a good guy throughout the years, but I don't think anybody really thought it was this bad, but it's really bad. And I would like to see people pay for crimes that they commit, or some of the things that they make people live with for the rest of their life. Like the person that bringing the lawsuit against him, claiming that she was just afraid to even keep her job. And so some of the things that some of the things that happened to her were because she was afraid of Vince McMahon firing her and making sure she never got a job again. But there's more information if you want to read more about it. Again, it's not an easy read, but federal prosecutors are investigating Vince McMahon, and we'll keep you up to date on that. But again, if he did it, then I feel like he needs to go to prison. And I hope there's not a get out of jail free card, no pun intended. The final news of the day, and it's a sad news story. Carl Weathers, co-star of Rocky as Apollo Creed, also Chubbs and Happy Gilmore, died at 76 today. Tony and I were talking about it a little bit in the beginning of the show, and Carl Weathers was awesome. I remember him first in Happy Gilmore when he was the former professional golfer who got his hand eaten off by an alligator during a tournament one time. But Happy Gilmore was amazing, and Chubbs was someone who made that movie, and Carl Weathers was great in it. So I don't really have many more memories outside of Rocky and Happy Gilmore, but Carl Weathers played some pretty iconic characters throughout time in movies, and so you got to stop down and give some credit to Carl Weathers on the day that he passed. Also, Tony said he's a San Diego State guy, and he's been around San Diego State. So it's a very sad day for San Diego, very sad day for Rocky fans, very sad day for Happy Gilmore fans like myself. So rest in peace, Carl Weathers. All right, that's it for the news of the day. When we get back, we are going to talk about Shohei Ohtani real quick, because I have my business degree from the University of San Francisco. So I love hearing about and researching about sports business. And I found out a few things about Shohei Ohtani and what the Dodgers will not be able to profit on. And I will share that with you when we get back here on the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan.
Never
Back here in the Odyssey Palace Studios, 97.3 The Fan, The Skraby Show. I'm Matt Skraby. Thanks for listening. Closing out the week here on 97.3 The Fan. It's been a slow sports news week, let me tell you. As a guy who does just his job basically is to read sports stories every single day, I can tell you I've been searching for sports stories, and we don't really have that many sports stories to begin with. So the one I'm about to tell you is because it's a slow day, but it's also, I guess, it's also a way to know that you can go to sleep tonight knowing that the Dodgers aren't going to make certain dollars off of Shohei Ohtani. I'll tell you in just a second. I don't want to give it away. That's why I'm being so cagey. Or is that the word cagey? I don't know. If you are on the chat right now, I want to thank you because we have someone from Wales on the chat. Welsh Fryer, he just went to sleep, he told us. Also, Dominic is in Baltimore, so appreciate that. Staying up, what is it, 9:19 p.m. in Baltimore right now? That's dedication, Dominic, and I appreciate that. Alan, thank you for stopping by. And I have a question: are the Padres making room for Cody Bellinger? I don't think so. Cody Bellinger is not going to be a Padre, I don't believe, just for the sheer fact that he probably wants a multi-year deal for over $150 million. Don't think that's going to happen. I also should say congratulations to Blake Snell. He is expecting his first child. So that he announced that today on Instagram. So if you want to see the picture, it's on his Instagram or his Instagram, and it just says baby Snell coming soon. I know it's kind of random, but wanted to say that. He's still looking for a team too, so he's got to find a team very soon. I mean, we're looking at 9 days until the Padres report to spring training. And a lot of these guys, as we talked about last night with the all MLB free agency team, a lot of these guys are really getting a little closer to the season than I thought they would probably find themselves in this late in the year, because it would be a little, if you don't know where you're playing, how can you prepare? You could prepare blindly, but still, if you don't know where you're going to be moving, if you have a family, it seems very stressful to me. Very, very stressful to me, but not for them, apparently. All right, so this Shohei Ohtani thing that came out, it's a Yahoo Sports article, and I was reading through it because it was talking about all the different money that the Dodgers will make off of him, and then also the money that Dodgers will not make off of him. And so they're going to profit big time from one thing, and that is putting sponsor logos everywhere. And so we're going to see a lot of that. The Lakers and the Yankees have both sold jersey patch sponsorships for roughly $25 million a year. So they are going to make some money off of a patch on the jersey. That is just a foregone conclusion. And every team really makes money off of the patches on the jerseys. What they will not profit on, and I didn't know this, because all sports are different, but they are not going to profit on the selling of jerseys. So in baseball, the licensing deals with companies like Fanatics and Nike reward every team equally. That means there was apparently an 8,350% spike in Dodgers merchandise sales in Japan following that signing, but it goes equally to all the teams. So when I originally thought this is a great idea for the Dodgers, they're going to make money hand over fist, and they still will, but they are not going to be making the jersey sales, which is kind of crazy, because I just thought that the team gets the jersey sales because it's their trademark and all that stuff. But no, it gets shared with all the other teams. So the 8,350% spike in Dodgers merchandise sold in Japan is just as good as the Padres money. And I like that. They are going to, they say when it comes to ticket sales, because I was also thinking ticket sales, prices of tickets go up. But again, that's the secondary market. The actual ticket price is a lot lower than what the secondary market will be. But this article is saying that they're not going to make much money off of these tickets. So they're not in this to sell tickets. They will sell tickets, but they're not the Dodgers did not sign Shohei Ohtani just to sell tickets. It's for everything else. And here's another thing that I didn't realize the Dodgers can't control. And it makes sense that they can't control. And it's broadcasting games in Japan. They will not profit off of broadcasting games in Japan, even though Shohei Ohtani is one of the most watched athletes in Japan. The Dodgers control their profits here in the United States, but here's where it gets a little thing. Here's where it's a little strange, because Major League Baseball doesn't run any of the, well, now they do with the Padres, but prior to last year, they didn't run any of the local broadcasts. That was all done by different companies. Now, when it's an international broadcasting right, Major League Baseball owns all of that, and then they split the revenue evenly among 30 teams. So that makes me feel a little bit better, honestly, because I thought the Dodgers were just going to have a Brinks truck loaded and backing up. Oh, backing up. There it is again. Backing up into Dodger Stadium every day. But it's not true. It will be like, even if it's watched, and even if they sell tons of spots, and even if they have lots of viewers all over the world, Dodgers won't make any money off of it. And I'm okay with that. Also, they're not going to profit on the increased cable ratings. So if more people watch the Dodgers games on TV on Time Warner, they will not be getting money for that, because they signed a deal with Time Warner, and it's a 25-year deal, and they signed it for $8.35 billion. So $334 million a year. Doesn't even matter how many people can watch the game or do watch the game. The Dodgers are not going to be able to make any money off of that, because they've already done their TV deal. So they kind of played themselves there. They didn't kind of play themselves there. They definitely played themselves there by negotiating this 25-year deal with Time Warner. And I'm not even sure, but I've heard that Spectrum is not as, or Time Warner is not as readily available up in the LA area. So a lot of people can't even see the Dodgers. But that's all from this article, but I'm pretty surprised at some of the things that the Dodgers are not going to be making money off of, especially the merchandise. I thought the merchandise was 100% a money maker for them. They sold so many Shohei Ohtani jerseys as soon as he signed with the team, but that is split up through all 30 teams. And I think that's very... It's interesting because of Shohei Ohtani deferring $680 million of the $700 million. It's not like he really needed to, I don't think. But he's not going to... The Dodgers are going to profit off of him, but it's not going to be as much as you would have thought. So there you go. That's that story. That's that story for today. The Dodgers. We're talking about the Dodgers on the Skraby Show. I don't know. Just kidding. I bring it to you because I think the business part of sports is a little fun to look into, because I really don't know how many of these sports work, and many of their contracts and their deals with third parties are very complicated. And it's always nice when I get to learn about that, because like the NFL, they have revenue sharing, so teams get that. But in baseball, they're not a real revenue sharing sport. I guess they are in a way. I don't know. The finance part of it really confuses me about all of these businesses, because as you know, I'm not a big math guy, but the finance part of everything really throws me for a loop. But finding the sources of revenue, finding the sources of eyeballs on your product, finding the sources of social media life is all very interesting to me. I hope it was kind of interesting to you guys too, because I feel like that was maybe a lecture that I went through in college. And in college, I barely showed up to the lecture. So I hope you showed up more than me. Anyway, I'm just going to stop talking. I feel like it's a Friday and it's been a long week. There's not much to talk about. Padres related. I mean, I wish that we got more news. I was supposed to be at Cathedral Catholic right now. I'm going to figure everything out when we go. I'm going to go to break right now, and I'm going to figure it out, because we got to talk about something big. And I think virtual reality is something we should talk about on the other side. Yes, baseball is doing virtual reality, and they're doing it on something called the Apple Vision Pro. I'll tell you about that when we get back here on 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Woods on The Fan.
Any more calls here, Paulie?
Yeah. Final segment of the Skraby Show here, 97.3 The Fan. Matt Skraby in the Odyssey Palace. Thanks to everybody listening. Thanks to everybody who is braving the wet roads right now. Tony and I were looking at the weather forecast to see if we're going to be able to go broadcast from Poway next week for their basketball game. And we 100% found out that it's supposed to rain every single day next week. And the storm that's early in the week apparently is going to be crazy. So everybody just keep your raincoats out. I guess raincoat. Does anybody have a raincoat here? Keep your umbrellas out because we're going to get some more rain. And in all seriousness, if you live in an area that floods, I'm sorry, because I'm sure that's just been one thing after the other, and that is unfortunate, and I'm sorry about that. I am seeing on the chat, M. McKee23 said, I just backed into a parking space. Who am I? Who are you is correct. This parking space thing has been one of the craziest conversations we've had on the show. And yes, you are a CBP, a chronic backwards parker, or what is it? A compulsive backwards parker. But I didn't realize that so many people park backwards. Had zero idea that there was more people parking in their spaces backwards than there were pulling in forwards. My mind's still blown about this, and it will continue to be blown about this because I just never really even think about it. I have no thought to backing in the space until today. Until today, when I drove into work and I got into the parking lot and I saw a spot. And for 1/2 second in the back of my head, I thought maybe I should back in. And then I just threw that thought out of my head and I said, no, I am not going to back in. I'm not going to be like Tony Gwynn Jr. It doesn't save me any time. It might be safer. I can say that. I will be all about that. Backing in being safer. But otherwise, I'm not going to back in ever. Not going to. It's life-changing. That's what Cactus Man just said. I want to go back to this story that we talked about on the show earlier. And it was the Jaguars and how they asked FanDuel to return a stolen $20 million. So if you're just hearing about this for the first time, there was an employee for the Jaguars who, his name's Amit Patel. He was a mid-level finance manager, and he has just recently pled guilty to stealing $22 million through a virtual credit card system that the Jaguars use for expenses. So he was able to find a loophole, and he was able to steal about $20 million. But he lost it on daily fantasy and sports bets at FanDuel, and he lost about $1 million of that in DraftKings. So basically what happened was the NFL thinks, hey, because there's another law that a sports book or a online sports betting website, they have to make sure that the money that is being spent on their website is good money. It's not stolen money. It's not blood money, whatever, drug money. It's none of that. But in daily fantasy, it's different. The regulations are a lot different because here's from the article. Gambling sites have a duty to perform anti-money laundering and know your client procedures to ensure they do not onboard funds of an illicit origin. Where the size of a customer's bets far outweighs their income, red flags are present and should require additional due diligence to confirm the funds are clean. So this guy's name was Parlay Picker on FanDuel, which apparently he was one of the worst parlay pickers of all time because a source close to this situation said that he was legendarily bad. He was so bad that he barely won any money. And this guy, I gotta say, does not sound very smart. He didn't really do anything to cover his tracks. He didn't really do anything to make sure that he didn't get caught. So maybe this guy wanted to get caught from the beginning, but he was taking private jets and reserving luxury hotels. He bought multiple vehicles. He bought cryptocurrency, a country club membership, and also a wristwatch that cost more than $95,000. Now, I really don't understand why you would buy something that would a watch for $95,000. I guess if you have the money, you can. But wouldn't you be nervous that that thing would break? I don't understand when people buy like really, really expensive watches or pens or belts or whatever it is, because I don't know that a watch really is worth $95,000. But that's what this Amit Patel did, and he is actually trying to he's trying to get out of it a little bit by saying that he had a gambling disorder and that he just recently underwent treatment for alcohol and substance abuse. So his attorney said he did not use Jaguar's virtual credit cards to fund his lifestyle, but in a horribly misguided effort to pay back previous gambling losses. So I don't know. This guy just needs to pay for what he did and move on. With that out of the way, let's go to that story I was talking about with the MLB Apple Vision Pro. Now, I know Facebook has tried to do this, and it's like I can't remember what the Facebook one is called, but it's like a virtual reality headset that you put over your eyes, and I can't remember. I think it's called Dream something. But now Apple's coming out with their thing called Apple Vision Pro, which is really funny, Apple, because everybody's making fun of Facebook, and now you're going to come out with your own thing. But I don't know if you remember, last year, the MLB, I guess it was MLB.com, they put on a virtual game, which was just a real game, but you were able to enter this virtual world. And this virtual world was very strange. I remember Frank and I were in here, and we went through it, and it was like you could walk around the concourse and you could see what's going on the field. And it's an expansion of what they had been doing on their MLB app. And so in the game day part of the app, when a game is actually going on and you go and click on the game, you click on the report. On my app, it says in the top right corner, it did last year, it said 3D. So I clicked 3D, and sometimes when I wasn't able to watch the game, I watched the 3D version because I thought it was awesome. It basically is, it's a crude a virtual player, but it moves exactly like the players do. So when Fernando's in the box, you'll see this virtual player. It's not going to actually look like Fernando, but his mannerisms are going to look like Fernando and Manny and so on and so forth. So I thought it was pretty cool because it's almost faster, honestly, than TV and radio. It's almost instantaneous with what you can see on this thing. And so they went from that, and then they went into this, I believe it was a Rays game that they did virtual. So Frank and I went into this whole thing, and I got to say, I'm not the person for that. I'm not the person who's going to go join these virtual games. If you are that person, let me know. But I'm not a person who is going to find my joy and find my interaction with human beings in the virtual world. Now, I don't usually interact with human beings in general. Once I leave here, it's kind of strange. I'm a very kind of quiet person when I leave here. I'm not really someone who is drawing attention to himself or anything like that, but I don't really like to do much at all at this point in my life. So sitting at home and maybe playing with Lucky or something like that sounds a little bit better. I know that some people are going to like this, but what they're going to do is you're going to be able to put on your headset, this Apple Vision Pro, and it's going to put you inside the virtual ballpark, and it's going to look like the ballpark that you're supposedly in. So if it's Petco, you're going to be looking like you're in Petco. But it's also going to, according to what I'm reading here on MLB.com, it's like fans are going to have their own space, and they're going to be able to see everything with depth, clarity, and sound is what the website is what the website's saying. And I don't know about this. I don't know why we're going into this world. I don't know why we're trying to create this. To me, I'd much rather just watch it because you're not actually watching the game. Now, you will be in the virtual world watching the game like it's on a big screen, but it's just so strange to have to watch a game with those headsets on. I'm not sure why people want to do this. If you're in the chat and you want to do this virtual game, or if you want to get one of these Apple Vision Pros just so you can take part of the virtual game, let me know, because I haven't found anyone yet that wants to be a part of this, and I can't see myself doing it. I know in maybe 15, 20 years, we're probably going to be watching everything in these headsets anyway, or it's already implanted in our brain. But until then, until it gets a lot better, I'm not really I'm not really willing to do it. I'm not really willing to watch on a headset for the entire time. Cactus Man said Padres games on Apple TV look so legit, to be honest. Yes, that's because they are 4K. Apple TV uses the 4K cameras, the super depth cameras where things are like kind of blurry in the background, but the player is in front of them and you can see the player really well. It's really not something I'm interested in. I'm really not. The chat is talking about AI, but I'm not going to talk about that right now because yesterday we had something on the chat where it was like I couldn't tell if it was AI, and it kind of boggled my mind for a second because AI is getting so good. It can text you, it can message you, it can do a lot of things to make you think that it's a real person when it's actually not. And I've had a few friends, actually, not my friends, but I've had people that have known people that have been scammed due to like deep fakes. So someone, which really scares me because obviously my voice is out there and it's out there a lot. And so there's plenty of examples of my voice that's out there. And it's scary because they can make my voice sound like I'm saying whatever they want me to say. And so they'll say, call my family, and my family will pick up and they'll be like, it'll be me. They'll be like, hey, I'm in jail and I really need you to help. And I really need you to send me this money. And then, obviously the other person on the other end thinks it's me. So then they say, okay, well, where do I send the money? And you tell them where to send the money. And it ends up going into a scammer's pocket. And that is what's happening these days with AI. And I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I've heard of different scams like this where it will be someone who calls up a grandparent and says, I'll just use my name. Your grandson, Matt, was in an accident and they're in the hospital and we need to start surgery, or we need to or we need to give him some sort of medication, but we need to know that you can pay for this. And so we've tried to call everybody else in their family. We can't get a hold of anyone. So that's why we're calling you. Is it cool if you are able to give us your credit card so that we could start the process? And then we'll start the process with the payment, and then we'll start taking care of your grandson. Well, obviously, scammer is not going to take care of the grandson because the grandson is not injured at all. So I've heard of people who have lost grandparents who have lost upwards of $50,000 because these people will call and use their family members and tell them that they're hurt or tell them that they're near death, and they will get money from this. And so there are people that fall for this, and I feel bad because not everyone is aware of these things. So maybe that's why part of the reason I'm talking about it right now is that many people just aren't aware that these people lurk all over the place. They lurk on the internet. They lurk on, they lurk in real life, really. And so everybody, I'm not trying to scare everybody. I don't know. I feel like I'm going down a weird rabbit hole, but it's something that I think people need to know about that can actually happen out there. Is they can use my voice to make you think I'm in trouble, and then they will end up stealing your money. So don't believe it. Use a password. Honestly, I do have a password for my family. They'll ask me for the password. No one's ever going to guess the password, but we all know the password. And so that's how you make sure that you don't get scammed. Castro said, Skraby, you scared me. No, I'm not trying to scare you. My sister-in-law actually texted me. Thanks for listening. Oh, and she's telling me that my brother always backs into parking spaces. It drives her crazy. You know what? I absolutely agree with you. I've seen my brother do this, and I have given him stuff before because of this. And he just texted me. He backs in every single time, needs to get out, fast escape. Okay, the fast escape thing is the dumbest argument in the book. I'm sorry, people. I am sorry, people. Also, people are bringing up deep fakes on the chat as well, which deep fakes, if you don't know, are videos that are made to look like someone, and you may think that it's actually them doing an interview. I think Tom Cruise was even faked out by his own deep fake one time. Someone made a deep fake, gave it to Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise like watched the video, and he does so much stuff. He didn't remember doing that or whatever, but he was like, "Did I do this?" They're like, "No, it's actually a deep fake." That's how good this technology is. That is how good everything is. And it's getting more and more and more available, the technology, for these people that want to be scammers. I got another text from a friend. My in-laws got a scam call pretending to be my son in jail. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And you know what? I'm kind of glad that I brought this up tonight on a extremely slow night in sports. That's why we're not talking sports right now. But I'm glad I brought this up because I do really believe that there are people out there that don't know about this stuff. And I'm the dork who reads about it and reads case studies and listens to podcasts and all that. And so I kind of know about it. And I tell everybody I know that I do not want is I tell everybody I know you need to know about this stuff. And so I'm that guy at the party, at a Super Bowl party. Hey, I know the 49ers are playing right now, but do you want to talk about the scammers out there that are going to scam you? Do you want to talk about the guys that are going to call you? No one wants to talk about that. So I'm the guy everybody tries to avoid at the party. That's exactly what happens. Skraby Show is brought to you today by the Farmer's Dog. We are coming to the end of the week. And right now there's the NHL All-Star obstacle course is going on. I've been watching that out of the corner of my eye here for the past few minutes. These guys are amazing. They have to like go through this whole thing and like dribble. I don't know what it's called with the puck, but they have to like go back and forth with the puck, and then they have to hit different plates in the goal. I got to say, it's better than the NFL Skills Challenge, because the NFL Skills Challenge yesterday was boring. And I hate to say it because I liked it last year. This year, it's cool and everything, but I don't really need to see a guy catch 5 footballs in his arms at the same time. I mean, I don't really need to see that. The NFL just needs to get rid of the Pro Bowl. I don't know why the NFL won't get rid of the Pro Bowl. Well, I do know why. I know why, because they want the money for the Pro Bowl, and there's money to be made in the Pro Bowl, but no one is going to watch that whatsoever. No one is ever going to watch the Pro Bowl whatsoever if you're going to continue to do these skills challenges and flag football games. I guess the flag football game makes sense because they're going to have flag football in the Olympics, so maybe they need to get warmed up for that. But I'm probably not going to watch it, and I don't know many people that are going to watch it.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right. Very, very slow day. Thank you to everyone for sticking with me here on Friday night. Appreciate you. You are the real MVP. That is for sure. The Daily Gripe for today is one that's near and dear to my heart. And I can't believe it took me so long to get to this one in the first month or so of the Skraby Show. It is all about people who do those video chats in public. You know what I'm talking about, like the FaceTime or the Google Meet chats. So I have 2 different situations that I will present as to why I'm so annoyed by this. Number one, I don't need to see who you're chatting with or hear your conversation. I don't care. I'm sorry. I was in a grocery store. This person was talking to a person on their phone with no headphones, and they were talking about something that I don't even remember what it was about. But the person on the other side of the phone, he was in bed, like shirtless. Like, why are you having these FaceTime conversations in the grocery store? It's ridiculous. Another situation that I had with these video chats, and this was a little bit further back, but I was on a plane and I was forced to sit in the middle because that was the only seat left on this Southwest flight. But this person next to me did a whole 45-minute conversation on their iPad with someone who was on the ground, obviously. But this person didn't use their headphones. I don't get that in general with people on planes. If you're not going to use headphones, don't get that. Like, what is the point of being on a plane and not being able to hear your movie? No one else wants to hear your movie. But it's kind of selfish and a look at me type of thing. I think that all these people are doing their stupid FaceTimes. I really just became a 500-year-old man by saying stupid FaceTimes. Dan says Skraby has problems in grocery stores, FYI. Yes, I guess I do. I got to start lying where these things happen. I told you, I go to like a couple places. I go to the grocery store, and I go to work, and I go to AA. That is about it. Annabelle says people on speakerphone at the gym are sociopaths. Yes, I agree with that. Sociopaths, really. They are. All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you keeping me company here on a very slow news day. Hopefully Monday brings us better news. Hopefully you have some Padres stuff to talk about. Have a great weekend, everyone. Make sure you stay out of the rain. Make sure you stay safe. I'll be talking to you Monday. Thanks for listening. 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, it's Ben and Woods, and our show is where Padres fans gather all year long.
The games may be over, but this team is always giving us something to talk about.
Join us weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Look for the Magic to work theirs on the road. I'm Joe Ostrowski here to help you beat the books with BetQL. Orlando heads to Minnesota tonight as 7.5-point road dogs, but the BetQL model is backing this young Orlando squad. BetQL has Orlando plus 7.5 as a 5-star best bet. BetQL projects this number at plus 3.5. I'm Joe Ostrowski. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetQL and BetMGM apps today.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business